right, thank you. So before we dive in, let's look at some simple workshop norms. Please close any applications you don't need and remain on mute except when you're speaking. And please do make use of the chat to ask questions or make comments. We'll be monitoring it throughout the whole session. Next. Here's a really quick overview of the agenda, and I believe that each of you received a link to the full agenda so you can follow along today. We'll start with a brief discussion of the meaning of sustainability and some potential points of connection for your teaching and sustainability. And then we'll have speakers by a number of presentations by a number of panelists who will give us examples of cross-disciplinary incorporation of sustainability into various courses, and also will benefit from student perspectives and examples of student work. Then we'll wrap up the workshop with some directions for how you can apply for a $500 stipend to develop a sustainability module for your own class. Next. So, what is sustainability? This is a concept that most people believe is profoundly important, but there's no one way to define sustainability. So we're going to take a quick look at some of the ways that sustainability is envisioned globally to get us thinking about ways that sustainability concepts and issues can be connected to the curriculum. So we'll start here with mention of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This was part of Agenda 2030, issued in 2015, and all member nations of the United Nations signed on to these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This is a call to action and an aspirational goal, a blueprint, if you will, for a sustainable future that considers both human well-being and planetary health. So if you look at these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, you'll see that they cover a wide number of aspects of sustainability that might give you some ideas as to how you might connect your learning goals to including sustainability themes. Next. Now, probably the most widely cited definition of sustainability is that from the 1987 United Nations Brundtland Report.
That one, yeah.
Sustainable development that meets development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And so this definition, as is true of many definitions of sustainability, has a really explicit intergenerational equity aspect to it. Another common way to view sustainability and talk about it is in terms of three pillars or three components: the social, environmental, and economic aspects of sustainability. This is just a couple of different graphical ways to portray that idea. Sometimes this is summarized in terms of the 3 E's of sustainability, where the social component is referred to as equity, and we therefore have equity, environment, and economy as being interwoven and interacting aspects of sustainability. So again, these ideas might give you some ideas for some connecting points. Next. So to wrap up this really brief discussion, I'd like to come back to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and ask you to be thinking about ways these might help you to engage students in sustainability, help them see themselves as vital change makers, ways that they can make meaningful contributions to help meet these goals. And I'd like to point out, while we're still on this slide, that SDG 4 quality education is widely considered not only an essential development goal in and of its own right, but as an extremely important catalyst that's necessary for meeting all of the goals. Next. So what we're going to do now is divide you into breakout rooms where you'll have a chance to first introduce yourself to other workshop participants, and then have a conversation about, just begin thinking about ways sustainability can be integrated into your own courses, and share some perspectives across the disciplines. And we've asked our speakers for today to serve as facilitators. And so facilitators, if you could just help to guide discussion around these 2 points. Are there any questions, or before we go into our breakout rooms? We have not quite 15 minutes for this. And then we'll come back and we'll begin our presentations.
So our first presentation is Catherine Cushing with Columbia University.
Hi, everyone. And I'm just going to break a rule for a minute, Ellen. So I just do want to thank my breakout group members. It was really nice meeting everybody, and everyone has some ideas for how they want to incorporate sustainability into their courses. And I will provide my email address in the chat to follow up with my group mates. So again, here we are. And I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy days. It's the beginning of the semester, so everyone is totally inundated working with their students. So I'm really appreciating the time that you're spending with us. I'm a professor in environmental studies, and I'm also the executive director of Communiversity, which is a public-private partnership that brings together San Jose State faculty and students in classes that they're teaching, the city of San Jose, and local residents and nonprofit organizations, schools, and faith-based institutions in central San Jose. And our focus is really on trying to address community identified needs in the low-income neighborhoods of central San Jose. So that's Communiversity. You could see it in the logo. So the gold is Tower Hall, that's us. The dome is City Hall, and then that cute little house are our residents. I should mention that I'm actually on sabbatical right now. So if you are super excited after watching this presentation, or like, I have to do this, I need to talk to more Communiversity people, please talk to Dr. Mike Oy from Chemical and Materials Engineering, because he is kind of going to be taking over for me this semester while I'm on sabbatical. Next slide, thank you. All right, so I gave you a brief overview of what Communiversity is, but I think that probably the best spokesperson is this person you see in the video. She's actually a business student who participated in one of our Communiversity projects. And you'll also see who some of our other partners are. So I'll just let the video speak for itself. It's about 2 minutes.
Communiversity San Jose helps to build great, thriving neighborhoods throughout our city by partnering with residents, community service organizations, businesses, City Hall, and of course, San Jose State University.
The lemons here from regular trees are fresh, and the ones from the store have chemicals on them.
To my mom, she would want to buy like white bread, and I would say like, no, let's go over here and get like whole grain.
Through Communiversity projects, our students connect with local children and create a college-going culture in San Jose. All participants learn that they have the power to change the world in very meaningful ways.
This class was definitely one of the more different classes I've ever taken, in the sense that we weren't given hypothetical business, but we were actually given somebody's life and somebody's real business.
Lo que a mí me ayudó bastante antes de que yo comenzara con los estudiantes, lo que a mí me ayudó fue ellos que me dijeron que buscara muchas ideas, darme ideas que yo jamás había pensado.
I think there should be more projects like this, where college students are able to see that this is a bigger world that we live in than just us, and to apply our talents and our degree to something greater than who we are.
Education extends beyond the boundaries of our classrooms. Engaged students gain practical knowledge while developing a sense of social responsibility.
I'm so grateful for the work the university has led for the last decade here in San Jose.
Okay, Chelsea, could you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so now that you're all a little teary-eyed, I'm going to tell you a couple of, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of sustainability projects that we've worked on. University started in around 2005, so we're about 16 years old. And these are just some examples. So Communiversity has 3 focus areas. The first is community health and the environment. So example assignments include students designing and delivering lessons to students in grades K through 12 on sustainability, garden education, nutrition, and watershed science. So we've had enough students working on it. We've had 2 student groups that we worked with last semester. Environmental Studies 129 is the water policy in the US West class. We have a new collaboration going with the environmental education class. Well, they'll teach a watershed lesson that Communiversity already put together, and the students will design their own K through 8 lesson as part of their coursework. And we also have collaborated with the Environmental Resource Center, which is Environmental Studies 181. But I also want to tell you that we have a lot of students, outside of environmental studies or other traditional majors that are participating in these types of projects. So we have a long-term collaborator in sociology. His name is Jason DeHaan. He traditionally teaches quantitative and qualitative research methods. So for the past 5 years, we've had a number of illegal dumping and littering behavior studies sponsored by the city of San Jose that he's gotten additional pay for that we've collaborated on. And then you'll hear a little bit later from Inghua Huang about her food waste warriors. So I don't want to steal her thunder, but just keep excited for that. In the civic engagement category, we have a number of classes, the CALM 157 students, that is a service learning class, as well as the Business 2 classes and Business 2 134B classes, which also help with annual community gatherings that have a sustainability theme to them. You may not know that the neighborhood immediately adjacent to the university, it's called the South University Neighborhood, which stands SUN, Sun. And every year they have a spring festival right around Earth Day. And this is a park that in the past has been not the best place. There was like a lot of prostitution, there was gang activity. And so by activating spaces like O'Donnell Garden Park, we are providing a venue for sustainability education, but also helping the residents feel safer using that public space. I was really shocked several years ago when a policeman told me, we have to be really careful when we trim the bushes in the parks, because sometimes gang members, they actually leave guns at the bottom of the bushes so they can exchange like unregistered guns between members. So it's just things that you learn when you do community engagement in San Jose are always interesting. And then physical infrastructure, we have a number of urban planning and design classes that have collaborated with us to work with the community to identify areas where they think there would be good, we call them like, it's like tactical urbanism projects. Oftentimes they're short temporary pop-ups to help residents envision what their shared spaces could be like. And let's see, next slide, please. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that, behind Communiversity are hundreds and hundreds of, faculty members, the students, elected officials. You may see on the left there in the blue shirt, Terry Christensen, who is an emeritus political science faculty member and the first executive director of Communiversity. You may see Susan Myers. She was the dean in the College of Education, considered like the mother of Communiversity. So, so many different partners have helped Communiversity, create this long-lasting partnership over the years. And so if you are interested in working with us to integrate sustainability in your classroom in a way that benefits local community members, we would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next slide. Our next speakers are from the UC-CSU Nextera Knowledge Action Network, Mark Stemmen and John Foran.
Actually, today we have Mark Steeman and Richard Whiting, but first I think we're watching the video.
My name is John Foran. I'd like to welcome you today to Nextera, a digital platform for teaching the climate crisis, critical sustainabilities, and climate justice. This project is the handiwork of a Knowledge Action Network, or CAN, all members of which are faculty from the University of California and the California State University systems. Nextera is both a digital platform and a Knowledge Action Network. I should like to thank each of these colleagues whose topics are the heart of this site, as well as Sarah Ray, my CSU counterpart and co-coordinator for the project, and Richard Whiting, our project lead and designer. This could never have been done without all of your work as its co-creators. I want to extend an open invitation to teachers and concerned Earth citizens everywhere to join our network as we update, expand, and deepen the project to take on new topics going forward. The moment we are in now is one of an unfolding multi-level crisis marked by cultures of violence that permeate life. These crises are now tightly tied together and gravely exacerbated by the cruel existential crisis of climate chaos. No one is immune to its effects. Many of those who had least to do with causing it are suffering first and worst. As educators, our concern for our students' well-being and that of our wider communities demands that we take action now. This is not the moment for business as usual, not in the global or our local economies, not in our governments or political institutions, and not in the schools and places where we teach. It is the moment for joining with our students and with all young people in an epic multi-generational fight to save everything we can for the sake of their futures. It is the moment when we must resist the extinctions that have been set in motion. As educators, we must educate ourselves and each other to do this. Nextera is one space where we can make this happen. We have curated educational resources on numerous topics, ranging from climate change and religion to climate justice movements, from climate fiction to global climate governance, from community-engaged research to indigenous leadership, and spanning the humanities, social sciences, and sciences, all nested within the broad themes outlined by the climate crisis and the creation of critical sustainabilities and systemic alternatives, and based on the indispensable principles of climate and environmental justice. Together with each other and with our students, we are taking on the greatest challenge humanity has ever faced, one that has already caused untold suffering. Let's confront the climate crisis together by preparing, enabling, and empowering our students and each other to work toward all our visions of how to build the best possible Nextera, the most inspiring next Earth that we collectively can. On behalf of the UC-CSU Nextera Network, I look forward to continuing this conversation with all those who wish to participate in the days and months to come. Remember, Juntos Podemos, together we can.
There is a groundswell of civil society group building the critical mass that will effect the change and the transformation that is desired. But we must not lose any momentum. We have to keep building.
All right. So Nextera is a digital resource for those of you who are looking to integrate sustainability and particularly climate action, climate justice, climate change into your classrooms. We've collected topics from a lot of faculty in both the UC and the CSU. You could find them on site. And I'm going to let Richard tell you a little bit more. Richard's our project director on this, and I'll let him describe it a little bit more.
Hi, I'm not sure, I can't see anything except the slides. I'm unfamiliar with this format, but welcome everyone. And I know we don't have much time, so I just want to encourage everyone to go to the site and know that what we're trying to do is produce a new or transform the practices of teaching about climate and sustainability in the UC and CSU systems. So we're a resource for teachers to know and to learn about the community of climate crisis and climate justice scholarship that we're building, and to get involved by contacting us and sharing with us, either join a network or join a topic discussion, or propose your own. So we're here to build and grow this community, and we're so thankful to have your attention for this short time. I guess we could take some questions. Mark, you have transformed your teaching practice quite dramatically, and talk about that on UC CSU Nextera. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, I just will give, for those of you looking to get a little bit of climate action into your climate change into your classrooms, the California Energy Commission has partnered with the Geospatial Labs at UC Berkeley to take the global climate models and downscale them to California, so that now you can model the climate in California to the level of zip code. You could model the campus, and I have modeled the campus at CSU Chico. I've helped model the city and the county, and you can find all of that, and I use it in the classroom. You can find all of that on my page in CalAdapt in the classroom on the Nextera site. I'm also, as you see, there's also a slide. I'm doing similar workshop here up at Chico, and we're using this as a way for faculty to build their classes and to find materials to, as Richard likes to say, read and study laterally off of your discipline and go find others.
Right. Let me add to that. My great hope, and I think that's shared with the rest of the Nextera team and all of our internal networks, is that that people will come to Nextera and hoping to find what they're looking for, and maybe they won't find that. They can then reach out to us and talk to us, and together we can fill that gap, or work together to try to think, well, what kind of resources do teachers and students want and need for this changing world of the unfolding climate crisis? And I personally am pushing for Nextera to become more and more like a production team. In other words, producing film and producing other audiovisual resources for the classroom, for teachers who are struggling, I think, sometimes, and you all can reflect if you can back to us on this, struggling to reach their students. I think Mark mentioned it, and it's been mentioned a couple other places so far today. The youth are really crying out for this. They're crying out to have their educations be meaningful, to be part of the solution, and they're living in a world increasingly defined by audiovisual technology, right? By video. So if we can help teachers know that there's a community of climate justice scholarship and critical sustainability studies growing, trying to reach them, trying to make the classroom more dynamic and experiential using audiovisual technologies, then well, that would be great. That's what we're trying to do.
And I'll just end with this because I'm sure we're almost out of time, is that there are 3 different classes that are all fully the class online that are loaded up on Nextera. So you can see just videos of different examples. And Richard's curated a very good video library. So we hope you can use it.
Yes, and also I wouldn't want anybody to just browse through the site, and you'll find that we feature everything we can from UC and CSU. And try to bring more attention to some of the fantastic resources like UC TV. So if you're a lecturer or a teacher in any course in UC, CSU, or anywhere, or just want to learn, go to UC TV, use the search engine, type in climate crisis or climate justice, find out that there are people in your discipline, scientists, geologists, from every discipline, reaching out to the community, trying to build their own audiences for their critical work. So, for example, UC TV is a source that we really try to feature prominently in UC Nextera and consider our mission alongside of theirs.
Thank you so much, Richard and Mark, for joining us. The link's in the chat, and we'll also be sending out a copy of the presentation and any relevant links shortly after to all attendees. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
The next one is mine. I won't be as long. I'm Debbie Andros from the Office of Sustainability, and for a number of years now, at least a couple of times a semester, I'm asked to talk in classes to talk about either an overall sustainability, what the campus is doing, or next slide, please, or any topic like what we're doing for energy, what we're doing for water. And that's still a resource that's available to any and all faculty. But we've also updated the sustainability website that has all this data and information on this website here under campus action. So if you go to the next slide, there's also waste and LEED buildings. Additionally, if you would like raw data, if you want to design your own assignments based off of the data that we're collecting on energy at campus-wide or or building specific, I can provide that information. And I can get information for main campus, South Campus, and Moss Landing if you'd like information on those buildings. And again, that's data for energy, waste, or water, and any of our LEED buildings. I would beg of you, though, to ask me directly for that data and don't send me like 30 students because this has happened. So please, please ask me for data directly. Next slide, please. And then additionally, outside of my office, there's also AS Transportation Solutions, and they publish actually all their surveys that they do with students. They've done this for a number of years. And they've published all of their data, all of their surveys, reports, but they're also very open to sharing raw data. Last year was the first survey they did for faculty and staff, so that would also be available. And then Spartan Eats also has a really cool sustainability page, and they also do the Real Food Challenge. So they have metrics on that they're very open on sharing as well. So there's a lot of data and material and resources available. Peggy will talk about it soon also. But this is available to any and all faculty if you'd like to get that type of data and design assignments based off of that. Next slide. Next is Jocelyn Jones-Trammell from Associated Students talking about student work examples, student perspective.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Jocelyn Jones-Trammell. I am a senior pursuing a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Interior Design with supplemental minors in Architectural Studies and Black Women Studies. I am also involved in student government where I serve as Director of Sustainability Affairs. I serve to encourage my fellow peers to live sustainably and to advocate for environmental justice. Next slide, please. I am here today to speak on my experiences with sustainability and curriculum. I'm a part of a program which sees its students as humanitarian technologists, innovating interiors to change the way we live and to work for better futures. So interior design at SJSU prepares its students to emerge from the program ready to take on the challenges of designing for the 21st century. And these challenges include climate change, the current health crisis, poverty, homelessness. We focus on creative design processes, interactive and adaptable environments using AR and VR, and fabrication through emerging technologies such as 3D printing, all through the lens of sustainability. Because human health and well-being is our main priority as designers, we have learned about and adapted biophilic design elements within our projects. And we have also worked with our local community to address space issues around homelessness and urban blight. We are designers, global citizens, honing our abilities to make meaningful improvements to our world, meeting our needs without compromising the ability for following generations to meet theirs. And on the screen here, you see how our students of design have incorporated tenets of sustainability within their previous work. And I'm sorry that they're so small. I can link you so you can actually zoom in and acclimate yourself to these projects. So the first, the Paradise Health Clinic, is located in Butte County, where devastating fires in 2018 crippled the town of Paradise. The designer, Brian Bayonne, designed this clinic to be a safe space for students, for people who have been through rough times. There is a vertical forest in the interior of the clinic, which serves to bring nature inside to calm the mind, to remove carbon from the surrounding atmosphere, and to aid in regulating the building's temperature. In the center, Noor Aliou's Geo redesigns an empty space in downtown San Jose as for the need to escape the urban landscape and to provide dedicated space for lodging for people who need it. And then lastly, Mi Sala Tu Sala was a group effort. This was our student attempt at tactical urbanism. It was designed by Andrew Rivas, Fun Huang, and Jocelyn Slorial Mondragon, and executed by the rest of the DSIT 103 class. The overall objective for this project was to reinvigorate the exterior of 13th Street Empire Laundromat while addressing the current concerns from community members. This project was inspired by the rich agricultural history of San Jose, with a mall mural that represents the hills and organic furniture and plants filled with vegetation native to the area. And the intentional arrangement of the furniture is meant to function as a social space where people can gather, face each other, and have greater interactions with one another. Next slide, please. Or go back to 23. Thank you. And so here's a quick video to illustrate our process of executing Mi Sala Tu Sala's design. It was brought to life in fall of 2018, and we were sponsored by SJSU, Communiversity, Urban Planning Development, the Department of Design, and the Knight Foundation. And you get extra points if you can point out my cameo. So please play the video. So to conclude, I believe that integrating sustainability within curriculum in big ways or small is in the best interest of our students. It's an opportunity for students to connect to their surrounding environments, and it inspires the necessary critical thinking about our purpose in the world. I believe that all the projects I've mentioned previously have inspired my peers to truly think about how design can be impactful and how we can make a difference in our own communities with sustainability in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Our next is Yinghua Huang, talking about Food Waste Warriors student projects.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, yep.
My name is Yinghua Huang. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Hospitality, Tourism, and Event Management. My research interest is sustainable tourism development, and one of the topics related to sustainable tourism is food waste. And so I come up with this idea in spring 2019. So I talked to Catherine in the community, and then submit a proposal for this Food Waste Warriors project under collaborating with the community. So we start to implement this project in my hospitality leadership class in fall 2019. So as a course project, I asked the students to work in group and then to help 11 companies and nonprofit organizations to identify one issues related to food waste reduction. So as you can see, those icons, logos, we work with some restaurants and then also the like a food assistant programs like Loaves and Fish or Martha's Kitchen, and also food rescue organizations. So students had an in-person interview with those staff in the organization, and then figure out one major issues. It can be related to the food donation network, related to restaurant customers, food waste behaviors, or like kitchen employees training issues. Those students, their working group get opportunities to explore like different touch points, like during the process of food waste management. So like they can focus on one step in the whole process, and then think about the solutions or come up with some suggestions to reduce food waste to help with those food management process. So can you move to the next slides? So yeah, this is the first slide, and then the next slides. The next slides, so as you can see, we have the first slide is the picture. At the end of the semester, so students, they present their projects to those organizations. So we invite the staff from the different organizations and then to listen to the students' presentations. So the one good thing is we work with the community, so the students, they will receive one certificate as like a food waste warriors, the certificate from community, so they can also add this to their resume. So the students said like this project helped them to understand more, think deeper about those food waste issues, and then enhance their awareness of their individuals' behavior and the impact on the these food waste issues. And the next, and then in these slides, that's in spring 2020. We continued this project in another class, the hospitality marketing class. So we work with a food waste, food rescue organization. It's called Hunger at Home. They collect the surplus food from different locations, and then they distribute the food to people in our community who need those. They are in the food insecurity status. So in this class, we designed term project asks students to develop different marketing prototypes or marketing informational materials to help the nonprofit organization to to get more food donations and then recruit more volunteers to help with the food processing distribution process, and also come up with ideas to get more fundraising to support the nonprofit organization. So because of the pandemic, we had these projects completely online. So the students had like a Zoom meetings with the nonprofit organizations, employees, and then staff. And then also they present their projects through the Zoom meetings at the end of the semester. And so we had a small competition in the class. So we asked the nonprofit organization to select the best quality work from all the presentations. And then the students also get a small prize about sustainability basket at the end. So for those classes, like we distribute a survey with community. So students, they will assess their learning outcomes, and then they will give us the feedback through the survey at the end. So in general, I think it's a really wonderful experience, both for the instructors and then the students, to work with community and then incorporate these sustainability projects in the project, in the class. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker, Elizabeth Carroll, how to embed sustainability in existing courses.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So, you know, I believe when I heard about the campus as a living lab years ago, sustainability modules were presented, and the possibility of using a module for an art history class. Design and Society came to mind. And so Design and Society, I should explain, is it's a modern design history course. It's a survey, serves as a GE Area C1 course that attracts students from across campus. We have majors in graphic design, design studies, industrial design, animation, illustration, interior design, and the list goes on. So, you know, design history and art history, for that matter, is not about just, you know, interpreting beautiful objects necessarily, but it's about functional, two-dimensional design, three-dimensional design with regard to, and also we include within that high-performance LEED certified buildings. And so by inserting the topic of sustainability and sustainability practices with regard to our study of buildings and interior space, it began to really change how I framed the course, and then eventually concluded Design and Society. And so as LEED became a major focus of this culminating project in Design and Society that I assigned all students, it became clear what we were experiencing was a paradigm shift. The sense of taste or aesthetics is no longer the ultimate outcome of, you know, looking or exploring a course like modern design history course, but sustainability really becomes increasingly the focus in all design choices. And the measuring stick for what is successful is the connection to natural systems. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so in looking, and here I'm sharing a few images of students exploring water efficiency. So with the King Library LEED certification module, which Peggy Cabrera wrote, so I took her module, and she, along with me, introduced this module, the LibGuide, to students. And so in this particular moment, students were introduced to sustainable design features, LEED features in particular, this being water efficiency. They were introduced through lecture, readings, discussion, and this culminating group project. But so So why did I choose this, and how do we implement it, right? One, I wanted to find an example of design that would be accessible to students, and it would offer a hands-on opportunity when we could meet face-to-face, different than the textbook, different than the classroom experience, being able to scrutinize, think critically about LEED features in person. So, so the module allowed me to do that, to actualize a project-based assignment and require students to work in groups. And so we see here students are on a self-tour and at the beginning of this experience at King Library. Next slide, please. So the module on King Library really shaped my class in ways I hadn't imagined. In truth, it was an experiment to build this material into my coursework. And what we discovered in the process is, you know, the moment of self-discovery, the hands-on element, learning about water efficiency, indoor environmental quality, energy efficiency, you know, about buildings on campus, not just King Library, but eventually we expanded it to other buildings. Their enthusiasm, student enthusiasm, began to reflect even in my SOTs, and about the project, the process. And even just recently, a former student of mine got in contact asking for a letter of reference and reflecting on the fact that the LEED project, the library module, really had inspired her as an undergraduate taking 72, and she wants to continue in studying architecture. So it's stayed with her for years. And so what I'm showing you here in this slide are the water erosion sinks designed by Mel Chin at the library, again, exploring, you know, the meaning, peeling back the layers of meaning in looking at water efficiency in the library. So I think, you know, in wrapping this up, I can say, you know, the San Jose State Library, this sustainability module has helped support the argument that, and I quote, that universities, nonprofits, cities, states have emerged as the new face of climate leadership, important in all of our classes, and what amazing potential that holds. And these are the words, end quote, these are the words of President Barack Obama in 2017. And I think it's important to consider that absolutely this can be done in an art history and design history class. So I would say to embark in a new intellectual direction, as I did with Design and Society, it meant exploring, taking some chances. But if only, I would say, if I could do this with all of my art classes, I most certainly would. And, you know, from the instructor's point of view, it's a time commitment to prepare, to research, to integrate. I had a lot of support with Peggy Cabrera, and she has helped me realize a lot of that success. And so anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And speaking of Peggy, she is up next with Gina Marin to talk about the newly created Sustainability Curriculum Research Guide.
Hey everybody, welcome today. And I'm just so excited to see everybody here, and thinking sustainability in your classes, it makes my little heart go pitter patter. So what I wanted to share with you today is the research guide that Gina and I created to gather resources to help you all as you embark on this adventure. And it's not just everybody, it's not just you all here, but it's anybody on campus who would like to think about building sustainability modules, lessons, etc. into the curriculum. So I've changed this a little bit from when I posted the slides. If you could please click on the link in the top border, thank you. That'll take you to the guide. And I just put it into the chat so you can take a look at that. So again, this is our landing page. It goes over the sustainability definitions. So you could take a look at that a little bit more on your own. If you could click on the second tab, reading SJSU resources, please. So on this page, what we have are some of our campus departments, offices that you can use as a resource to gather information, to ask for assistance, to decide to work with. And so these are not all of them, but it's a good start. Third tab, please. On this page, of course, I wanted everyone to have access to the wonderful presentations that we're sharing with you today. So I have a little intro for everybody, any links that they provided, and there's a couple more links that of people and groups that are not present today. And so I'm hoping as we build this out that I could add some of your content on here and we could continue sharing. Can you go to the Education and Sustainability Network? On this link, you will find the UC CSU Nextera link, as well as some of our other networks, educational sustainability networks, everyone from ASHE at the very top. They are the folks that we always participate with in our STARS report that evaluates our sustainability on campus. And can you scroll down that page, do you mind? So you'll see CHESI, which is our California Higher Education. I did want to point out a couple more you may be familiar with. The Green Learning Network is, I think, from England or from, across the sea there. You might take a look at that. There's Merlot, if you've had a chance to work with Merlot. And then a network that we've been having programs on campus is the Northern California Environmental Justice Networking. So again, some resources. We hope to continue to update this as we go along. Can you go to the next tab? And thank you so much for guiding everyone to this. On this page, what I tried to do is to identify learning outcomes that you may consider as you're thinking about applying sustainability in your courses. So I went through, and it's not comprehensive, but I've gone through and identified some learning outcomes for undergraduates and graduates. I've just to make it a little bit easier on everybody, if you scroll down the page halfway, perfect. You'll see that I did identify the learning outcomes for specific programs. And then down below it, I have a list of some other ones that you might consult with the link that you can use to get to them. And so this is available for you. And I did put the date at the top because this is true for February 2021. I understand we're going through our undergraduate learning outcome evaluations right now. So this could change, but currently this is what we have. Thank you. Can you go to the next tab? So on sustainability at the library, I wanted to provide everybody with additional resources. So just a list of subject headings, just to kind of get everybody started, some ways to embed pedagogy, curriculum, that kind of thing to, give you some terminology. On the right-hand side, you will see, or left-hand side, you'll see a list of books. So I've gone through and identified books that were applicable across the curriculum. And I tried to find materials for every college on campus so that you could find something. And then in the boxes in the middle, you'll see I chose 2 databases per campus. I understand there's way more than what we have. But I wanted to give you a start, and I did go through and test the idea of curriculum and sustainability in all these databases. So, that's why I'm recommending them. And so again, just some resources for you to continue to search for materials. And Gina, can you please talk about our community resources?
Yes, certainly. So if you can click on the community resources, please. So for the community resources, here's some things. For example, Earth Day. This is the Earth Day website. Then it provides information on how you can be involved in Earth Day and with your class. And then Environmental Services is with the City of San Jose, and they do things, for example, treatment of water, of course, but also and clean water, and also the recycling programs. And then Hidden Villa is a farm and environmental. You can click on any of these two if you want. And Hidden Villa is interesting because they actually have internships available. So students could apply for those, and the internships provide housing as well at Hidden Villa. That's why I included that. And then from our own College of Science, Moss Landing Marine Lab, of course, does a lot with the marine environment and the ecology and environment of the marine environment. And then further down, there's Santa Cruz Permaculture. They offer classes and they offer discounts to faculty and people in education on some of their permaculture classes. And they do a lot. They even have a sustainable farm up on the site. Of course, UC Santa Cruz is very fortunate because they have a large amount of land compared to what we have as an urban campus. And then Stanford Woods Institute for the Environment has a lot of events. And right now, of course, they're virtual, but when, the coronavirus is reduced, then the impact, then you can actually go to some of the events. And I've attended an event there, and they're either low or no cost. So those are pretty interesting, and encourage both faculty and their students to sign up for the newsletter. And that's when you would keep abreast of what's happening there. And then University of California has a Master Gardener program, and they have some help desks kind of things. So if you want any information or help on, if you have a garden. And there's also a program where you can become a Master Gardener, and that website is for Santa Clara County. They have it for it's regional, so this one is for Santa Clara County. And then Vegilution is out at a farm out at King and Story Road. It's the Emma-Prush Park Gardens, and they do some great things right now. They have a lot of activities, when things are opened up more, but right now they're doing farm boxes, and I believe they have a produce stand too. And there's a bit also volunteer opportunities there as well. And then the other two ones that are on here are Pocket Neighborhood and Village Homes, and these are just subdivisions that Village Homes is in Davis, and it's kind of in the middle of a regular conventional suburb. And they've used a lot of permaculture and sustainable elements in the design of that are it's interesting to see. And then the Pocket Neighborhood is a concept that's kind of a replica of what they used to have in Southern California, where they had like small homes that were built around like a central court area. And they have a number of those up in Washington State. And so again, that just gives people an idea of what a different type of neighborhood versus a regular conventional subdivision, what you can do. So hopefully those resources will help, and we'll be adding them, as Peggy mentions, as we find more.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. I hope you could use this. If you have any other ideas or petitions we could add, please send it to Gina or myself, and we'll be glad to take a look. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our next speaker, Megan Thiel, on module on environmental racism with student projects. Go forward, please. One more. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Thiele, and I'm an associate professor in sociology. And I've been teaching environmental sociology. I developed it here, and it's a course that students really love. And I wanted to present a little bit of their work and also discuss environmental racism, because I found the more I teach this course, the more I realize that's really what comes at the heart of environmental sociology, because of the racist oppression we have within our society. So when we have the environmental destruction and the acts that come with it fall on people of color more so than white people. This is from student Natalia Barragan, and this is just part of her project. But she did this on Instagram, so there's more slides than what I'm showing, but the first one is a graphic she created to get people's attention, and then the second part is where she defines environmental racism. And that refers to the ways and policies, practices that harm the environment disproportionately that occur in BIPOC communities, that is Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Next slide, please. So whether we want to or not, whether we are aware of it or not, our industrialized daily lives produce large amount of environmental harm and environmental racism. And collectively, we need to organize, demand, and create new ways of being on our planet in order to become sustainable for future generations and to stop environmental racism. Next slide, please. This is from student Elaine Reyes, and she has produced this on Canva. And again, this is just a portion of what she produced. It's the beginning and the end. So she goes through the story on this Canva of like, let's talk about where our recyclables go. And so she ends the presentation that she had on Canva with people can reduce, educate, and engage. Next slide, please. We talk a lot in our class about commodity chains, supply chains, etc. And these are the process by which resources are transformed into goods and commodities and distributed to consumers. And this is often the invisible path from which goods travel from raw materials to us and go through this entire process. We do have an output bias in our system, so we don't often see the things that companies do not want us to see. Next slide, please. So this is from student Sarah Hussein, and this work was on, it was a module on food, and she is looking here at CAFOs, which are the confined animal feeding operations, and she created a learning page through Adobe Spark, which is basically a web page on CAFOs. So this is just one shot where she has included a picture of what some CAFOs look like, along with some material related to the readings we had done for the course on that topic. Next slide, please. This is from student John Salazar, and he looked at cruises, and we've got a picture here that he created on his learning page. I also included this slide in particular to demonstrate the fact that companies can be looked up. If you can read there, it says the environmental advocacy group Friends of the Earth rate Royal Caribbean and Carnival letter D on their environmental report card. Next slide, please. So here I list another couple of sites that I suggest to students to be able to look stuff up. The Environmental Working Group allows people to see what's in their water by zip code, also ingredients that are in their products they buy. A Better World Shopping Guide rates companies on a lot of different things, not only related to directly to environmental sustainability, but also to the social justice that is attached to that. Next slide, please. This is from student Cesar Gonzalez, and this was for his final project. We had not talked about speciesism within our class. This is something he decided to do on his own to build on the work we had done there. And next slide is also his work. And I also just want to bring in Black History Month. This is Angela Davis, and he talks about how she talked about there's a connection between the way we treat animals and the way we treat people who are at the bottom of the social hierarchy. Next slide, please. We go over this in class, but Leah Thomas has a nice article called Why Every Environmentalist Should Be Anti-Racist. And I do think, I do want to encourage instructors to engage in this work. And one way to do so is by introducing and working with the commodity chains that are specific to your discipline and discussing how these commodity chains and our involvement with them produce not only environmental harm, but also specifically environmental racism. She talks about intersectional environmentalism as an inclusive version of environmentalism that advocates both for the protection of the planet and people. Also, environmental justice initiatives seek to bring awareness to disrupt and abolish environmental racism specifically and environmental damage generally. Thank you. Any questions you have are appreciated. I think that's the last slide.
Thank you so much, Megan. And that is the last of our examples here in our
Debbie, I'm sorry to interrupt. Debbie, this is Edith Kinney, I'm sorry. And I can't turn my video on because it takes up too much bandwidth. I just wanted to note that, Megan, I've really been appreciating all your presentations. I've been seeing you virtually. I haven't met you yet, but I'm happy to be your new colleague. And as your shout out for Dr. Angela Davis, I just wanted to mention we're having, she's going to be speaking next Thursday. And so I'm going to, at SJSU, virtually, of course, but we have a keynote lecture coming up on Thursday and a reflection on her work with and the kind of indispensability of Black feminism and socialism, which really kind of integrates with some of the environmental racism and other kind of challenges that you just brought up. So thank you for the shout out. And I just wanted to note that I'll put the link to sign up in the in the chat box here.
Thank you so much. That does sound amazing. Thank you. So the last part, we have 10 minutes. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat or speak up if you want. I do want to just go over the stipend very, very quickly. It's very simple, very short. Again, we'll be sending this out in an email. It's a Google form due April 5th. You can see it's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing at the bottom is a list, a couple of things to check off. Like if you would like, you would need to show that this is in your learning outcomes. Can you go all the way down there? Provide a copy of your syllabus and participate in initial kickoff meeting, a mid-project check-in meeting, and a final celebratory event to be determined sometime in, oh wait, early May is not right, but after the semester where your course will be given. So with that, we can open it up to questions.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, hi.
Has anybody run across a course on environmental entrepreneurship? I know social entrepreneurship covers the environment, but from the standpoint of traditional entrepreneurship, has anybody run across a course in any universities on that? I think that could be a really good one. Something I'm going to look into.
Yeah, hi, this is Catherine. Bill, I'm not really sure. I do know that there's some universities, like Northwestern in particular, where the business school is particularly focused on the nonprofits, but I don't know that they've specifically called out like environmental nonprofits or environmental entrepreneurship. So I think that's a great idea.
Well, I think we're seeing that, you know, there's a lot of money to be made by doing resourceful and smart and ethical things environmentally. You know, there's lots of evidence now and research that says that corporate social responsibility is a way that companies can do well financially, you know, do well by doing good. And I think that we're at a time where environmental entrepreneurship course could really be a popular course. So something I want to look into.
Does anybody, along those lines, does anybody do like lead abatement projects with students in the area? Kind of how we could, I know some folks were trying to redo part of their house and they discovered they had mad lead problems this was up in Alameda County. I don't know if y'all have the same situation down here, but we've been trying to get some folks doing water testing as well as lead testing. Does anyone have any contacts with the county or the city to do these kinds of projects?
Hi, Edith. This is Catherine. Maybe I'll put you in contact with my colleague who, Jo Zintek. She runs the Consumer Environmental Protection Division for the county. Does that sound right to you?
Yes, that's perfect. It's just,
okay, I'll send it to you in a separate email.
And as I've learned here at SJSU, there's always someone who knows something, and we just have to figure out how to find each other. So I really appreciate, and I'm so happy to see all the kind of intersections in the folks who are in this session. So thank you for putting it on, everybody.
Great.
I just wanted to jump in and say that I put a link in the chat to an organization called VentureWell that looks at innovation and ideas to connect the environment with and student teams looking for solutions. And so they actually have some grants for faculty, and they also have some student competitions. And so I thought there may be something of interest at VentureWell for some of you.
That's good.
Hello, everybody. I'm teaching solar energy and renewable energy. It's related a lot to sustainability. And my idea just, I'm thinking about to create courses, short courses for students to be installer of photovoltaic systems. So I'm looking for partners. I'm quite new here, but I believe it would be very interesting for students because sometimes students working not according to their specialization. And it would be very good for students to study practical skills according to theory and to support themselves financially. So I'm looking for partners, and if somebody will help me, I would appreciate very much. Thank you.
Hey, there is a professor that I can definitely connect you with who does a lot of student projects involving solar. He's great, and he's in the mechanical engineering and aviation.
Yeah, probably James Mockery, or I know someone. I teach at mechanical engineer, but it should be a business kind of and maybe educational college. I don't know. Just let me know, and I hope contact with you after this seminar. Thank you.
Hi, Igor. This is Seshadri. I'm a lecturer at the business school, and I'd like to talk to you about the topic that you just mentioned. We'll speak offline.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Just I need to write your name.
I'll shoot you a note.
Okay, let me know. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm just wondering, given this organic contact that was just made, would you like us to compile a list that you can populate with your research interests that we could share with the group?
I was going to suggest something similar. I know that I really enjoyed the breakout group I was in, but we ran out of time, and then I'm hearing so many great ideas and connections. I think that maybe in the follow-up we could offer this as an option so that those who would like to reconnect or bring forth possible collaborations, that there's a way to do that. So
yes.
I can definitely put out maybe first a Google Doc or form that asks for permission to share it, and then I can share a list of attendees with the email that we'll send out after. Because I agree, I love seeing like real-time connections. That was awesome. So I'll work on that, Ellen. I'll definitely do that.
Thank you very much, Debbie.
Yeah.
While I think of it, and I just wanted to say how much I appreciate everybody's contributions to this. I learned a lot from all the presenters. I learned a lot from hearing comments and talking with each of you. And I wanted to just say that I would be delighted to have continuing conversations, to have the opportunity to talk with or consult with any of you. I really treasure opportunities to talk with colleagues across disciplines, which given the size of our institution isn't always easy. So I think this is wonderful, and I do hope you'll want to continue to have a dialogue with all of us. And so thank you. And I invite any other comments or questions that might still have a couple of minutes, but I think this has been great and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat, sustainability group using social media tool. SJSU Green Campus has social media accounts that are pretty active. There's also a sustainability group, and we use Google Groups. So we can definitely, maybe I'll put that on the form too, on the Google form.
If I could add in, I'm forming a climate reality campus core student group here at San Jose State. And we deal not only with climate change, but all aspects of sustainability. We are at the formative stage. I'm looking for names of students who might be interested in participating. from all disciplines. I've got business, I've got some communications, I've got some science students already. And, this would be kind of like a formative group to get this campus core going. But listening to all the things that have been discussed today, I get really excited because there's so many things that this student group could get involved in. And I would love to get the students going, especially in the area of climate change and sustainability. So if you have student names for me that might be interested in creating this group and creating the goals and objectives of this group, I will put my name in the chat and would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, I'm wondering, I guess 2 questions. One is, if you guys are thinking of applying for the stipend, could you just put something in the chat so we have an idea of who's going to be putting in for that? And then is Deanna still here? Or Gina, is Deanna online? Do we have affinity?
She's on.
Oh, do we have affinity groups that are facilitated by the Center for Faculty Development? And would a sustainability group be one of those, or should we just manage ourselves?
Well, Gina's still here. Gina, can you answer that? No? Okay.
Okay, so maybe we don't know. Okay, we can work on that.
Well, it's 1:31. It seems like we're losing people due to other meetings. But if you have any other questions?
Oh, actually, I have one idea. Maybe I need contact with people who teaching art and design, just to draw a tree of sustainability. Our fossil fuel, like roots of tree and green energy, kind of, it would be interesting project for students, I believe. And I would like to see such pictures in our campus. So thank you. If somebody interested in to cooperate with me, I would appreciate very much. Thank you. It was nice seminar. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. And again, we'll send out an email, follow-up email with a copy of the presentation, Google form for sharing your contact information, and any other relevant links that we shared in the chat. And this will be recorded. So as long, and also a recording of this. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie, thank you all.
Thank you, Bill. Nice seeing you.
Best session I've been to at San Jose State that I can remember.
Oh, yay!
Great. Great.
That was awesome.
That's 5 stars.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
being with
Richard.
us, Richard.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, Richard.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good week.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.